Today's guest has mastered the art of turning words into magic. NQ is a Emmy-nominated poet, multi-platinum songwriter. He's also an author. One of my favorite books, Inquire Within. We'll talk about that. He's got a new album out that run, don't walk and listen to, please. And he's got a journal that we're going to talk about, some exercises. You can also catch a show that I saw with my son Dylan. I think it streams on Amazon, live at the Ace Theater. It's a must.
I think purpose in general is such a big ass word that people often don't know what to do with it. Happiness is not a point, it's a range. It's not a goal that you reach because it's constantly in phase. I took my Michael Jordan poster off of my wall and I sang Wind Beneath My Wings to my Michael Jordan poster.
Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Welcome. So I want to give out a shout out to brother Charlie Ebersol.
Yes, sir.
Because he put us together. Do you remember that?
I mean, Charlie's the man. I don't remember specifically how we met, but I've always felt like you were a light, whether or not you were shining on me or someone else.
He just said, you cats got to meet. And I remember that because I'm having this feeling with you now because I didn't know I was like, what's this poet guy? And I started, and the thing I love about you is immediately it's like, oh, this cat I can talk to, but you make people feel safe and you're a really good listener. And I could tell there was kindness, but I also knew there was a story. And the thing I love about your work and that you do publicly, because you speak around the world, you're not talking down to people. You're not saying this is what you got to do. I feel like you're sharing the experience with people because you're right there with them. Is that fair? Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really nice thing to say. I definitely am the first person in my audience. I don't feel like I should be looking down on people or looking up at people. I feel like I should be looking at people. And I think if I look at myself and I tell the truth about who and where I am, and then I share it, somebody will connect to it. Maybe not everyone, but somebody will. Mm-hmm. So I'm talking to myself and talking to them.
Tell us a little backstory. I mean, how did you get into this? What happened? How did this all happen?
Yeah, exactly. I actually don't know.
I want to hear the whole backstory, man.
I was born here in Santa Monica, California. I was raised on Lincoln and Bay Street, so relatively around the corner. And my mom's a school teacher. She taught at Culver City Middle School, and my father was not in the picture at all, and here I am.
Well, yeah. And then just all of a sudden you're on stages performing around the world. Come on.
Well, when I was like 13, I fell in love with hip hop and started freestyling, and very quickly it went from a hobby to a source of empowerment and self-expression and identity. And then when I was 19 years old, I wound up in an open mic for poets in LA called the Poetry Lounge. And I started doing my rapping a cappella, and it turned out to be one of the biggest open mics in the entire country. So it's been going for over 20 years now, and they get 250 to 350 people every single Tuesday night who pack into the Greenway Court Theater and listen to people who get up and share their stories, share their heart, share their truths, share the things that inspire them, share the things that piss them off. And it became a community for me, and then that community became a family, and we won the National Poetry Slam Championships together. A lot of my crew from my era was on HBO's Def Poetry Jam with me, and one day I woke up and realized I was more of a poet than an MC, and then I had to figure out how I was going to make a living.
What year was that?
I don't know. I mean, I was still trying to get signed as a rapper well into my late 20s. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, even all the time that I was like doing competition poetry and going to the open mics and performing at colleges if I could get a gig here and there, I still really considered myself a musician. And then it was only when that dream died that I actually, through probably desperation and obsession, as well as passion, I was like just more open to anything creative. And that's when I really started taking poetry seriously. So,
can you tell me about the process? You write about your own challenges and what you're up against. And you know, we talk about going against the darkness, the demons.
yeah.
Can you kind of walk me through and how you performing those and what it's like for you and sharing your life with people? I mean, it's very powerful.
You know, it's almost like I'm sharing my life with myself first. I don't really like sit down and write and then think, what are other people, how are they going to experience this? Are they going to relate to this? Will they judge this? Will they compliment this? Will this be successful? I just kind of like pay attention to things that inspire me, things that move me, or things that bother me. And then I start poems in those kind of like places of truth. And then if I give it enough time and space, the rest of the poem will almost write itself. And it's only after the poem is complete that I decide whether or not I want to share it with anyone.
Oh, wow.
So there's plenty of poems that I've created that no one will ever hear. It's just between me and God. And then sometimes I'll get on the other side and I'll say, okay, like, I think this is something that I want to pass along to other people and give it a life for them outside of myself.
So maybe this is a good time to talk about the journal, people in sobriety that are struggling with sobriety.
Yeah.
How is writing a good technique for them to help them in the recovery?
So it's interesting. I think that like we make a giant mistake in popular culture. We basically like leave creativity to the professionals. You know, like as adults, we say like you have to be Beyonce to sing, or you know, you have to be Van Gogh to paint or something like that. You just like actually have to set aside the time and the space to go into your own story through a genre of art. And if you have that conceptual framing and you remove the guardrails of trying to make something good, you're just trying to make something true, then it could be as much of a modality for stress release or emotional and mental health, peace, clarity, self-compassion, compassion for others, as therapy, as breath work, as yoga, as, you know, any of the other things that people use as an outlet for the pain that is trapped inside of us. Emotion is supposed to be energy in motion. So you have to find ways to move the energy. And you know better than most that oftentimes we just trap it inside of us and it becomes disease, or we take it out on somebody in traffic and we don't even know why. And we fall asleep to our lives and we wake up to the reality of the destruction that we've created. So we have to find ways to move that energy. And what I'm saying is art should be one of those ways. And for me specifically, poetry is one of those ways. So you don't have to be a poet to make a poem. You just have to be a person.
And so the journal is great because it's some of your writings, but great prompts and great exercises for people to do. What made you come up with that?
Well, so I made this album, the Never Ending Now album, and it's like the most vulnerable piece of art that I've ever created. And when I finished it, to my earlier point, I wasn't sure if I even wanted to put it out. I really like was debating whether or not I wanted to, I don't know, externalize this piece of art, like, because it was so meaningful to me. It was such a healing journey for me to create it as a process. I wasn't sure I wanted to show it to other people as a product. You know, yeah, I didn't want people to celebrate it. I didn't want people's judgments. I didn't want to monetize it, you know? So it was a decision. And my decision making was, if I put this out, will it be moving and meaningful to at least one person? And so I sent it to some people in my life and that I trust their opinion. And that was the overwhelming response. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to put this out into the world. And I've been doing storytelling workshops. First, I started doing them in libraries and junior highs and high schools and Upward Bound and Art Share in downtown LA and juvenile facilities. I did these for years and years and years with kids, and I saw how powerful it was for them to reframe their own story, to express themselves, and to be celebrated no matter what the poem was about. To be unconditionally loved and celebrated for who they are. And it was really like incredible to watch these kids transform from being closed off to being open and to being confident. And then eventually I started doing them for adults, and I realized that adults needed it as much, if not more, because they had almost more layers that were in the way of years and years of unexpressed stories. So I was like doing all of these workshops, and I realized maybe I should like create something where people could do that without me having to be there to facilitate. And so I took all the poems from the album, I put them in an order, and then since they were already kind of like broken down into subject matters, I basically created prompts around those, gave people context to what it is to claim a poem and to speak your truth, and gave exercises around sharing techniques, memorization, and all of that.
It's beautiful. Thank you for doing that. I highly, highly recommend people get this. I want to talk about the album. You know, when you came in, I've listened to it, every song 4 times last 72 hours, and it absolutely dropped me. It really kind of threw me off today, and not a lot throws me off, because like, how am I going to do this interview with him? And I've just got so much to talk about, and it really, it's I don't even know the right word. It's unbelievably powerful.
Nice, man.
And it speaks to anybody in recovery. Like I felt like you were writing my poems for me that I couldn't write. You put it down with that incredible piano player. What is her name?
Isabella Turso. She's an Italian pianist. And
oh my gosh.
She's really very talented human being.
Where did you find her? My God.
Well, she was in Italy. She found me.
She found you?
Yeah.
That's kind of how it works. We find each other, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Let's talk about that. How do we find each other in the world?
You know, you get what you give.
Yeah.
So I think it's like an energetic thing. Not always, but, you know. I think it's like a little dangerous for me to say that in my head, because when I say that in my head, then it like confines it to like, oh, like we're all like vibrating frequencies, and like what we vibrate then automatically like decides what we attract and what we're attracted to. And I think that's like true to a certain extent, but then also there's random shit that happens that's like probably outside of the bounds of that, you know?
Do you subscribe to the theory that your faith is you will do the work, you'll write the poems, you'll make the music, you show up, and you just kind of show up and life works out for yourself?
I think that my experience is the opposite of that. I think my probably like programming is that nothing works out. And so I've had to really work at unlearning that over and over again. And the more that I do, the easier it gets, you know, but it's, at least up until now, never been quite easy.
Tell me more about that, brother. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what your experience is when you're younger tends to be how you frame the world, and then that's how you navigate reality. So I think like if your experience is not trusting anything, then you're going to go out into your day not trusting anything, and you're going to look for the things around you that are dangerous or things that you're suspicious of, and I think you tend to like what you focus on grows. So I remember like I used to be, if I was like in a really angry mood or something, I would go out into a bar and I would just like find the one other dude that was angry in the bar. We would like start to like vibe with each other, you know.
Every little support group.
Yeah, exactly. No, you don't want you don't want to feel alone in your anger.
Yeah, no, get it, brother.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course
right?
I do.
Yeah, exactly. But now I go out, I don't really notice. I mean, I like watch the corners or whatever. I try to be joyful, and then I usually experience joy.
Brother, when are you your happiest?
When I'm with my wife.
Ooh. Let's talk about that. How'd you meet her? How'd you open your heart enough to let somebody in?
A lot of failed relationships.
Yeah.
And then
A lot of them, actually.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
You talk in there so beautifully now how you protect your heart in a very specific way. Nobody's going to get in. I think the word about like, you have like archers or somebody protecting incoming.
Yeah.
So how did you lay your sword down to say, oof, let's try to dance a little bit here?
I have done a lot of like work. That's why I respect who and how you are in the world, because you lead by example, you do the work yourself, and then you try to share that with other people and empower them and give them the freedom to make mistakes and still love them unconditionally so they can get back up and try again. And yeah, I wasn't willing to settle down, and I wanted to continue to peel my own layers and become a healthier and healthier version of myself, so that I could have like a real unconditional, trusting, intimate, vulnerable relationship.
How long you guys been together now?
6 years plus.
Wow.
So long enough to where we know each other.
Yeah. And how did you come up with the decision to put her on the album?
It wasn't a decision. What happened is that I did a medicine journey, which still feels a bit corny to say that. I don't like the branding of medicine journey, but I did do that, and it was helpful for me at a certain point in my life, and it brought up a lot of things, and I talked to her about it, and we were in a very personal conversation. It was just her and I in my car. I think we had just gone to dinner, and I was talking to her about all these different frozen ages in my life, and she just got out her phone and started recording the conversation. And she told me she was recording it. She was like, I just have an instinct we should just capture this. And, you know, I'm trying to be as authentic as I can right now and connect with you and truly share a moment, even though I know there's potentially an audience that's listening to this. But like, this moment with my wife was so authentic. It was just like me and my ride or die, you know, my best friend in the world. And we were talking about this thing. So even though she started recording it, I never, ever thought anybody was going to hear it. And I was already so into the conversation that my tone didn't change at all. What we talked about didn't change at all. And then a few days later, she sent it to me. And then I listened to it. And then I was like, I wonder if this could be the through line to this album that I've been playing with. Yeah.
So she knew you well enough to say, we should put this down and record it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing about her. I mean, there's many things about her that I love, but she's definitely a lot more intuitive than I am.
Really?
Yeah. She's like a really magical human being. And she went through a lot. I mean, she's from Fresno, you know, I don't want to tell her story, but
sure.
she went through a lot, and she came out on the other side, and she still has hope and generosity and kindness. And so I really not only like love her, I also respect her and admire her. Yeah.
Beautiful, man. Let's talk about this. Facing the demons, not being afraid of them, going against conditional growing up and thinking, and what you do to deal with the voices that tell you you're not good, what the fuck you thinking about, they're laughing at, whatever it may be. I want to hear your process about that.
Well, writing has definitely been one of the biggest paths for self-awareness, self-reflection, peace of mind, better mental and emotional health. And it's one of the reasons that I like to give other people the same gift that I received from poetry. But I can't write all the time. I got to live too. So I've had to learn how to like negotiate with those parts of me that either want to create destruction, you know, because, you know, it's what I'm used to, or want to be overly like critical of myself. I think you have to almost like love those parts of yourself. And then you integrate them and you alchemize them rather than arguing with them or ignoring them. For me, that hasn't worked. Maybe for other people it will, but for me, that hasn't worked, you know? So
I think you'll appreciate this. You know, when I was kidnapped, the kidnappers said very specific language to me that I believed. And I kept that language for a really long time, probably my late 20s. And one day a brother of mine just said, just kind of offhand, you know, they were wrong, what they said. And for whatever reason, I heard that. And it changed my life because I started thinking like, if they were wrong, who else is wrong? And I do a lot of techniques.
yeah, what are your methods?
Well, number one, you got to always be in acceptance your brain's going to run jive on you. You shouldn't be surprised at this point in life, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to run some game on you. That's just life. Okay. Two, you don't have to take it anymore. We're so governed just to take it. You don't have to be passive with it. And then I talk back to it. And I do funny little things like, you know, Taxi Driver, right?
The movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I say to my voices, what, you talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, you talking to me? And it makes me laugh like it's making you laugh. Okay. But I don't just sit back and take it anymore. And then I might get really crazy and I say, whoa, today I have a worthy opponent in front of me. Let's draw swords, sir. Are you ready?
Yeah.
And then I do shit like that. Or
You make it playful.
I make a, yeah, exactly. Perhaps you'd like some tea. How do you take your tea? I'm not going to fucking run away from it anymore. I'm not scared of it anymore. And if you put the light on it, it'll run away like a New York subway rat. But you got to be strong enough to put the fucking light on it.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah, I mean, I think being playful with it is another tactic, like loving it or negotiating it with it or getting to know it. But I love the being playful with it because then you're actually like, I don't know, you're not taking the serious stuff so serious. You know, like, it's like sometimes, like in the beginning of my relationship with my wife, I'd get mad at something, I'd get triggered and I would get angry. And then she just kind of, you know, looks at me and like finds a way to be playful.
Oh,
and then
beautiful.
I realize, oh, I'm being silly right now.
That's a real gift, man.
Yeah.
She's got a real gift.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. I don't know which song it is, but you talk about purpose.
Yeah.
Which song is that?
That's purpose.
That's perfect. Let's
Yeah.
let's talk about finding purpose.
Okay. Do you want me to do that poem?
Yeah, I'd love for you to do it, man.
Yeah, sure. Maybe I'll do a combination of these two poems and then it'll leave us in a place where we can
Wherever
talk
you
about
want to
that one.
go, brother. Thank
Okay.
you.
Happiness is not a point, it's a range. It's not a goal that you reach because it's constantly in phase, but if you stay inside the margin and you consciously engage, your happiness can find a balance on the razor's edge of change. The main problem is society has taught us that our happiness is something we can gain, something we can claim, something we attach to our name so we distract from our shame and search for happiness outside ourselves, perpetuating pain. But happiness is not a place. It's not a destination on the map. There's nothing that's outside of you that's going to show you where you're at. Awareness is a conscious act. My happiness is not an accident. I practiced it. I practiced it and practiced it. I tried to master it, but life's too multifaceted. Besides, we'd all get bored without resorting to change. What's my point? Happiness is not a point. It's a range. If you don't know what your purpose is, tell me what your passion is. Don't know what your passion is? It's where inspired action is. It's what enthusiasm gives. A miracle for how to live. So if you still can't fathom it, then simplify the catalyst. Tell me what your interests are. Help explore what you're about. Don't know what your interests are. What are you curious about? Tell me what annoys you. Tell me what you love to hate. Now tell me what destroys you, and use your voice to go create. Play in what employs you, or find a hobby on the side. Nothing that you want to try. Imagine you're about to die. That would probably force you. If someone tried to take your life and they were coming towards you, would you fight to stay alive? I remember nights when I would contemplate my suicide. I'd lie awake debating non-existence till the sun's rise. I was feeling forced too. I had shit to alchemize. Of course it had to course through. Now my dreams are actualized. God does not ignore you. Get over being victimized. What does time afford you? A paycheck is a compromise. Tell me what implores you. Are you down to sacrifice? Now tell me what rewards you. I'll point you towards the afterlife. There is nothing in life that you cannot breathe through except death. And since we're all alive, it means at least there's one breath left. So pull it deep into your chest, into your bones, into your breasts, into your blood, into your necks, into the mud, into the depth, until it hugs your souls and suffocates the space that you have left, until it tugs your heartstrings and leaves your molecules caressed. Just a few precious seconds right before eternal rest. Will you fight for your survival from this uninvited guest? Will you Rolodex your history to glamorize regret, or set your sights on new arrival and go sprinting up the steps? Me, I'll revel in the wonders of the colors and the shapes. The way the light resembles floating diamonds dancing on the lake. I am nobody's mistake.
That's right.
But my existence wasn't planned. I had to sneak into the party. They were out of wristbands. Now I'm sinking towards the exit like it's made of quicksand. See, I got used to spinning my wheels but hit the kickstand. I want to truly view the world around me while I still can. I want to worship every flower, giving prayers over the land. I want to open up my eyes so wide that what I see expands. And the beauty beams so bright, it overwhelms woman and man. Fuck a portal to the light. I want to scream. I want to fight. I want to eat and love and drink. I want to touch. I want to think. I want to feel and taste and see. I want to live. I want to be. And I'd give anything but life because I'm dying to be me. I spent half my life trying to be anything but me. Now my afterlife is spying on my new reality. And I'm vying for another breath before it sets me free. I'm defying death with everything, 'cause death's defying me. I will rant, I will rave, I will spit, I will rage. I'll go barefoot on the sun or swim a sea of razor blades. I will grow, I will age, I will slow, I will fade. I'll sleep on hot coals or juggle chainsaws and live grenades. And though I know I'll never give up, in the end, I'll give way. I'm sure there's someone else with something more important to say. But until then, I'm living each and every fucking day. So when I take a breath, I do it like I swear I'm here to stay.
That's a serious get down, brother. Thank you. God damn, man. The fuck.
What does it make you think of or feel? Is there anything that stood out for you?
Yeah, man, it's my fight. It's my fight. It's what I had to go through to be free. And I still have a big fight. And I'm committed to doing everything that you said in there. I've had it, just like you. A lot of opposition, a lot of things, a lot of people laughing at me, a lot of the odd bird at the thing, trying to steal the wristband.
Yeah.
Just trying to get a peek in the circus tent. The loneliness, the loudness of the world, how scary it is.
Yeah.
Why has everybody got it going on except me?
I'm proud of you, man. You're doing good work. You're doing your path. You're doing God's work. You know, there's another life that you could be living right now where you made a way and continue to make a way for yourself, but it was just your way, you know, but you reflect back on a lot of people, and I know that it's very moving and meaningful for them. So I think like it's part of your dharma, if you want to use that word, is to go through what you go through so that you can learn the lessons that you need to learn, so that you can kind of like help other people to continue on and yeah, and hopefully that there's a ripple effect there on the other side, you know.
I'm going to take that love and thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Because it's nice to be loved by someone like you, a fellow soldier. You're a fellow soldier. I want to know if you're comfortable, however, what inspired that? Those two songs, those two poems?
Well, they're different things that I kind of like smashed together. Those three are on the album, but the first one, I had a therapist. His name was Bob Resnick. He's not with us anymore, but he was like a really meaningful person in my life. Anyway, one day I was like talking to him about something, and I was like in a pretty depressed place, and he just like offhandedly said, "Happiness is not a point, it's a range." And I thought it was such a bar that I actually stopped the session and I said, "Let me write that down." I wrote it down. I said, "Can I start something with that?" And he said, "Yeah." And then I didn't do anything with it for like 4 years or something like that. And I think it was almost like I had to catch up.
All right.
You know, with the concept and be able to apply it to my life a little bit. But that really helped, because for me now, when I know I'm getting out of the range, I can do like these little things to get myself back in the range. And I have no expectation of it being like a destination. I have the expectation of it being a journey, and to just continue to remain aware. What are the things that I do that bring me into the range in a higher way? What are the things that I do that bring me lower and can get me outside of that range? And for me, it can be pretty self-destructive or dangerous if I get outside of that range too much. But there are these like really simple things that I can do that help bring me back. So I think that was one of the things. The other part of the piece is about purpose. And I think purpose in general is such a big ass word that people often don't know what to do with it. And especially if they've really struggled in their life, you know, that might then automatically attach itself to a purpose, or they might feel lost and they don't know like what their purpose is. And there's lots of different things that can become purpose. I mean, your relationship, your children, religion can even be a purpose. Creativity can be a purpose. Work can be a purpose. Giving back can be a purpose. But they're all so big that like, if you don't know what that is for you, it can be overwhelming. It would be like sitting down at a blank piece of paper without prompts and not knowing how to make a poem, or sitting down at a canvas and having no context to what you're going to create. It could just be so overwhelming that you don't do anything. So the piece is really about like, well, if purpose is too big, just go to the smallest thing. Like, what are you curious about? What are you slightly enthusiastic about? What brings you energy rather than takes energy away from you? And just follow that breadcrumb trail and see where it takes you, you know? And it might take you nowhere, or it might take you to your purpose, and you might actually like climb up the ladder to the purpose. And then the final part of it is really about just like presence. I was in a yoga class once, and this woman Ali, who's also actually a poet, she said, "There's nothing in life that you cannot breathe through except death." And I literally got out of Downward Dog. And I just wrote it down, and I asked her. I always ask. I consider myself a collector. Sometimes someone else will say something. Sometimes I'll say something in the middle of a conversation, and I'll stop the conversation and I'll write it down. Because if you start in a place of truth, the truth wants to be told. It's actually begging for you to be the person to tell it. So, yeah.
That's beautiful, because I think what I love about the journal is I try to help people just take small little steps. It's so well laid out, this book, for you just get it. It's just easy prompts. Okay. What jams you up today? How do you maintain your balance? You're busy, you're traveling around the world, you're doing things like this all the time. How do you sync and not what jams you up?
I mean, a lot of things. I definitely can get in my own way still. I'm a work in progress for sure. But I also I don't know, what did I do today? I went to jiu-jitsu. You know, I'm horrible at jiu-jitsu, but I really, really like it because it takes all of my attention. Because if it doesn't take all of my attention, I could get hurt, or somebody can get hurt, or, I go to boxing, I meditate, I do breath work on the daily, I create things, I spend time with people that inspire me and people that I feel I can see and be seen. When I do get jammed up, to use your terminology, I try not to be so hard on myself. And I try to make sure that I, at the very least, don't do things that are destructive. Like, if I know that I'm getting jammed up, I try to just be neutral.
Oh, I love that.
Just if I can get ahead of it and do something that'll help move that, I will do it. But at the very least, I just try not to flip over the table of life.
I always tell people, let's just keep it misdemeanor state, no felonies.
Yes.
Just keep it misdemeanor, we can work with.
Yes.
Turn over the tail. Got it.
What do you do?
Well, I have a morning routine that I never go off of.
Okay.
Which is prayer, meditation, vision quests, affirmations. I'll study opera, or I'll listen to a poem, something that inspires me, gets me in the zone. What frequency do I want to be on? And I will never, ever go off that, no matter where I'm at in the world. Because I always say this, I know that I'm crazier than most, and I have to work a little bit harder, and I'm okay with that. Because there's just too much coming at me. And people...
It's because you're sensitive, or because of your experiences?
Yeah, well, I like you have a very busy life. I'm dealing with people that are getting ready to take their own lives, that are struggling. They've got a lot going on, and they trust me, and I need to fucking bring it.
I hear you.
And to not let all the other outside influences, so I can be so focused on what's going on, requires a certain commitment. And it's just good living.
Yeah.
It's just good living. That being said, how'd you come up with the shark metaphor out in the water? What inspired that?
What's that from?
What? The black belt?
Yeah.
So that you don't know this, one of my, I got a couple sayings, brother. You're not the only poet here. I say I'm the biggest scaredy cat in the room, which is true, but I'm a triple black belt and showing up.
See, I'm so embarrassed that I even brought up my my morning session at jiu-jitsu. It's
no,
ridiculous.
Don't be embarrassed. That's good, man. That's good.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
I have the highest respect for combat sports and discipline. And I mean, that's amazing, man. So you've been doing that for a long time now.
No, brother, no, it's not real.
Oh.
No, it's a metaphor.
Oh.
I'm a triple black belt and showing up. I don't know any... No.
That's even funnier.
You could probably pin me. No.
Right.
But what I am, that's
right.
my mastery.
You have the black belt of life.
I have the black belt of life.
Continuing to show up. There you go.
And it can be given away very fucking quickly if I forget.
Okay, I hear that. You asked me about the shark poem. So did you ever see this play called Waiting for Godot?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So there was this one rendition of Waiting for Godot that I saw where they end the play. For those of you who have never seen this, it's just a play about two guys and they're just basically waiting for God, like Godot's God. So their whole conversation is just, you know, who knows where they are, purgatory, the middle, I have no idea really, to be honest. I don't even remember it. But at the end of the play, usually it's the last thing is said and then the play's over. But in this particular rendition, they say the last line and then they just stood there. So the play never ends. You see what I'm saying? So the audience just started to like look around like, is it over? And then like slowly people just started standing up and walking out. And the two guys were just literally hanging out on the stage. And I loved it. I thought it was one of the coolest things I had ever seen because it's the metaphor, we're waiting for God, but what you realize is you're waiting for God. There's no difference between the people that are on the stage and the people that are in the audience. We're all just waiting for Godot. So right after the pandemic ended, I got this gig in Costa Rica where they wanted me to come and do like a performance and a storytelling workshop with this community. So I said yes, I go, and I wanted to do my own rendition of making the show and the audience inseparable. So I had this idea. I was performing this full hour-long set at like sunset, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna say this last line is gonna be, maybe I should take a swim so I can go become my art. And then I was gonna drop the microphone and turn around and run into the ocean. And I had this fantasy that the audience would just start running with me into the ocean, you know, and this would be like my Waiting for Godot moment. So I like do the whole, so maybe I should take a swim so I can go become my art. And I drop the microphone and they get up and they start cheering, standing ovation. And I take off my shirt and I turn around and I just start running into the ocean and nobody follows me.
I love it.
Now I have this filmed because this guy filmed it for me. So there's like a 10-minute thing. So they're clapping and then they're like, where the fuck is he going? And then they just kind of like stand there and then they just sat down and people didn't leave. They just hung out there and kind of like started talking with you. It was just like a really interesting, weird vibe that I created. But now the sun is set, I'm in the ocean alone. So I'm like swimming. I guess I can't come right out. I just said this thing. I got to commit. So now I'm like in the ocean and it's dark. And I'm like, I start to get a little scared. You know, I'm like, I don't know anything about the waters of Costa Rica. I've done no research. Are there sharks under here? You know, like, so eventually I like go out and then I decided to Google shark attacks in Costa Rica, and it sent me on this like whole little rabbit hole. And what I found out right away is that you're more likely to be killed while driving to the beach than by a shark. And then I started researching all these other ways that you're more likely to be killed. And it's the craziest list of things, except people are really so afraid of sharks. So that was where that piece came from.
Wow. Okay. So first off, I always tell people, you know what? You don't want to be the woulda, coulda, shoulda guy. Jump in the fucking ocean, drop the mic and make a move. I just love that you do that. Just do it. Now, here's the thing that I loved about that piece and why it resonated with me so much. You'll be surprised. Maybe not. I swim in the ocean every day. If I let my mind go to there's a shark, I start hearing the Jaws theme music. I will see a fin that's not there.
Yeah.
So it's belief system. What you believe, right, becomes your reality. So I always took that metaphor of like, if your belief system is, I'm not attractive, I can't be in a relationship, I'll never get this job, I can never write like in Q, how does he do this, whatever, that's going to be your life. But if you flip it, I'm just going to give it a shot. I believe in myself. I can do anything that's possible. God brought me here for a reason. That becomes your strength. That becomes your valor. That becomes your commitment.
Yeah.
But you got to flip it and not be so passive with it.
Yeah.
But it's super powerful because I will see the shark coming towards me. So the trick is how not to scare yourself and run these scary movies every day.
Yeah, I think that's
You feel
really
me?
well said.
Right? Isn't that interesting? The poem really inspired me to talk to you about that.
Yeah, that's super cool.
That's why we're here, right?
100%.
Okay.
And I think there's a lot of different ways that is an example or could manifest in all these other areas of your life, right? So it's like having to re-choose the positive perspective of yourself and of your life, and give yourself the small wins, and be your own best friend.
Be your own best friend. Be your own best friend. What was it like working with Cirque and performing in front of Obama?
Well, the Obama story is hilarious because I was still in a pretty like messed up place in my life, but I got this opportunity to. I'm telling all these dumb stories, but
They're not dumb, man.
So it was when Howard Dean was running for president, and somebody, not Howard Dean, but somebody else knew of me and asked, "Hey, would you come and perform at his rally?" And I said, "Yeah." So it was me, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Obama, and Hillary Clinton was there, and they had me go on first, and I did this poem, and it was before cameras with phones and anything. Like it was just like this kind of like, I'm sure that there's a recording of it somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I finished doing the poem, and Howard Dean grabs my hand and brings me back on stage, and he goes, "What about In Q for president?" And everybody went crazy. And it was like this amazing moment. My life was a mess at the time, but on stage in that moment, I felt like $1,000,000. So I come off stage, and Obama comes up to me, and he was a senator at that point, right? And I knew of him, and he was like, "I really, really loved your poem." And I said, "Thank you very much." We talked for 5 minutes, and he goes, "I'd really love to stay in contact with you." And he gave me his card, and I lost his fucking card.
Oh, fuck. Oh, wow. Ouch. Oh, yeah.
Which is almost better than
Yeah, I hear you.
having his card. Is like the story of like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that tells you how chaotic my life was
It
at
must
the
have been
time.
pretty
I was
chaotic,
like I wasn't in a networking place.
No, you
know
weren't
what I
there.
mean? I wasn't like creating real, meaningful, lasting relationships.
So let's talk about that just for a second. How do you just admitted you were in not a good spot. How did you shift gears and perform the magic that you did that night? What's the art in that? Because I'm sure many times you have to show up when you're not feeling it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely like in a really good place in my life now.
Right.
So I don't often have to like, I don't know, put on a cape or something. I just kind of like am in my life basically. But at the time it was actually the only thing that made me feel confident was to be able to do what I had spent 10 or 20,000 hours doing.
Cirque. How did that come about?
I just performed at an event, and the guy that was there, this guy Jordan, shout out to Jordan wherever you are, he was the head of Cirque PR at that point, and he said, we do this one night for one drop, which brings donations in. They shut down all the other shows in Cirque in Vegas, and they bring different artists from different shows in to create one new show. And they just do one night, and they, make boatloads of money that they then donate to their charity, which helps bring water to people who don't have access around the world. And he was like, would you be interested in talking to the director about possibly doing like a custom poem around that subject matter? And I said yes, and it was an incredible experience. I had no idea if it was going to work or not. Originally they were like, the director came up to me and she was like, I have an idea. What if we put you on like a carousel horse that's like, 50 feet in, and you just are like riding the horse and you come out and do your poem? And I was like, no, I'm good. I was like, I think I'll just stand on the stage in front. But then we had this like whole thing still. It was like where there were these two guys who were like in Speedos basically, and they were like running across the stage with these giant capes that were like going back and forth, these beautiful, I mean, they're such incredible athletes, these Cirque du Soleil people. They're just a remarkable athletes, human beings. The spectacle that they create is really one of a kind. And it was so cool to work with them. So anyway, so I run behind one of the capes so nobody sees me, and then they cross in the middle and I just fucking appear.
Oh, wow.
You know? And so then everybody is just clapping, you know, and I hadn't done anything but run behind one of the capes. And then I said my first line, and then it was on the O stage, so it was water. So there was a guy who like did a crazy dive into the thing, and then I did the poem, and it was really special. And it was so successful that they asked me to do the following year, and I came back and did a different poem. So I'm the first poet to ever perform with Cirque du Soleil. It was a really special experience.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Can people see that? Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, how do they watch that?
They have the full shows online, I think, at One Night for One Drop. And you should just definitely, if anybody's listening to this, check out that organization as well, because they're an incredible organization. They do really good work in the world. They save a lot of lives. And I was proud to be in association.
Right on, brother. What books have inspired you?
I really like The Alchemist. I like The Prophet. I like, what else do I like? Oh, you know what I really like? I don't know, this might be the wrong audience for this, but I like, what was A Million Little Pieces?
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was a fucking amazing book.
Where'd that hit you, man?
It hit me in my heart, and it expanded my mind and made me feel less alone on my own journey. And it frustrated me later that whole thing happened, because I feel like it didn't matter to me one way or the other, because of how I received it. And I wish that many other people could receive it that way. Because to me, it you know, the story is more important than the storyteller. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah.
Mentors in your life. Talk about people who have changed your life. Who's been great influences on you? Who saw you? Who championed you?
So since I didn't have a father when I was a kid, my mom got me into the Big Brother, Big Sisters program. And are you familiar with them?
Sure, very familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my big brother and I didn't have a lifelong relationship, but it was meaningful to me because I was very uncomfortable, I think, with grown men. Not as a young boy, but as like 7 on, basically. Yeah, I talk about it on the album, but they were like very far away from me. Mm-hmm. And I was always like very kind of like, I just didn't feel comfortable. And so it was like, I would say the first time that like a grown man like took interest in me in that way. And even that alone was life-changing. And I know the CEO now, his name is Artis. He's an incredible human being, and the organization is still doing really, really great work around the world. And if anybody's looking to give back, that is definitely a way that you can give back, and you will get as much as you give. So I would say that's a moment that stands out.
Oh, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah, but most of my mentors I never really knew. They're just like artists or people that I, you know, athletes.
Like who? I'm just curious.
I don't know. Like Michael Jordan was like my dad in my mind when I was a kid, you know? I remember I came home one day. My mom was like a fan of the movie Beaches. And so she had the tape cassette, and one of the songs is Wind Beneath My Wings. She used to play this song all the time. So she's like out or something. I'm 7 or 8. And I took my Michael Jordan poster off of my wall and I sang Wind Beneath My Wings to my Michael Jordan poster and then cried.
Yeah.
And rolled it. I mean, that was really, yeah. So these people that I never met, you know, they were my, because they were the representation of greatness. you know?
Mm-hmm. Did you have a moment in your career performing where you realize, I'm really fucking good at this?
I mean, I always knew that I was really, I don't know that I would say that I was really good. I knew that I loved rhythm and rhyme. I just knew that was everything to me. At first I was freestyling, and it was kind of like my only source of being in the present moment. Because when you're freestyling, you have to just think of the next rhyme and the next line. It's like mental rock climbing. Like, you can't think about anything else other than what you're doing. And it just allowed me to have like, to release some air out of the tire, to express the things that I had no other way to express. And then I remember the first time I performed, I was at like camp. I don't know if it was a YMCA camp or something, but I had a friend in my junior high that was killed in a drive-by, and that was the first time I ever performed. I was on stage at this camp. It was like the summer he got killed or something. I don't remember the specifics, but I had written something about him and performed with this other guy, and that was like the first memory that I have of being in front of other people in that way. But I wrote something that was a very real tribute to this guy that was taken too early. His name was Jimmy, and weirdly enough, Jimmy. So when I was younger, my mom got me a scholarship to private school when I was in not junior high. What's before that? Elementary or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so, but I always felt in this private school, since we grew up in a little apartment and stuff, I felt kind of like out of place because everybody had two parents and they were rich and stuff, and we were not. And so I didn't quite feel like I belonged there. And then I went to this junior high, and I had to transition there very quickly because I came in 7th grade, and everybody already knew each other, and it was just it was kind of like a bit of like a shock to my system at the time. And this guy Jimmy was really nice to me, and I remember on the first day that I was there, I was like at gym or something, and it had just been an overwhelming day, and I didn't really know how to process it at that time. So it was like a bunch of kids, and they were like talking shit, and it was like on the basketball court, and I was like, started to get like, it was like, this is too much for me. And he put his hand on my shoulder, and he goes, and he was fucking with me too, and then he goes, "You'll be all right." It's like a very small thing he did, very small, but it mattered to me. And then, a couple of years later, he was killed, and that was the first time I was on stage. That wasn't about saying I'm good at this, but that was my entrance into saying that this is like, I don't know, like it was something I wanted to say, so I said it. Yeah.
There's a great play, I don't know if you know, they made it into a movie with Matthew Modine. It's called Orphans.
I never saw it.
The theme of the movie is we all need a little encouragement. 12 steps say, let us love you until you can love yourself. I know you believe the value of service, giving back, and just little things like that, how your friend just made you feel safe in the world. Big Brother's incredible. I can't help people if they're not willing to give back. It just cuts, there's just something there that if you don't want to do it, for me, it's my survival. And I just want to thank all the great teachers out there who said, you can do it, Seano. It's powerful. You have no idea the influence people have. Just one little thing like that, you're still remembering it 30 years later, 40 years later, right?
Yeah, I definitely have never told that story, by the way. It's not.
Oh, really?
No. It's not. This is not something that I even talk about or anything, but it felt appropriate.
Yeah, so. Right on. Were you a fan of Kerouac?
Yeah, I love Kerouac. Yeah.
How did Jackie Boy touch you?
Well, I just like the rawness of his use of language. And I like how he didn't follow any conventional rules for writing. So I think, one of the things that I'm try to do for other people when I give them an opportunity to write their own poems is say, there are no rules for poetry. You just have to intend something to be a poem. And if you intend it to be a poem, then it's a poem and nobody can tell you any different. And I feel like that's how he wrote, is he wrote from the standpoint of, I'm going to tell my momentary truth and nobody can tell me any different.
Right.
And then, some of those like run-on sentences that are going nowhere, they go nowhere and they go everywhere. And if he had like tried to make them go somewhere, they would have gone nowhere. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna lay something heavy. What I think is heavy. I think if Kerouac would have got sober and did a hard look in the mirror and deal with his abandonment, he'd be you. You're my Kerouac.
That's a very,
and I mean
very,
that from the
very
bottom of my
kind
heart, man.
thing to say.
Because that's why it touched me so much. Because Jack got the jazz of my soul.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know where it started. So Coltrane inspired Kerouac. David Bowie's brother had mental issues, gave him On the Road, and that's what got Bowie started. And I just love that. And here we are.
What a line.
Right? Isn't that a beautiful line?
Yeah.
It's such a great line, and you just go, oh, boom, boom. So to me, you're carrying that tradition, and I want to thank you for that.
Thanks, man.
So, Mr. Q, I've been a seeker, and I've gone to great lengths around the world to talk to people about their stories. Concentration camps, people that have been tortured, people that have spent years in prison wrongly. And the people that have done the work that are on the other side, they're always smiling because they found something, because everything was taken away from them except their spirit. And that's what I experienced with you. I kind of put in better words for myself when I think about I first met you. I know what you've gone through, what it takes to write. You have to go through something to do the poetry that you do. That's why it resonates on me. But I know when I see you out in the world. I don't see you often. You have a very beautiful smile. It's a warm smile. This. What's up with that? Tell me how you got there. What's that about? Am I right? Am I talking about that? Does this make sense to you at all? Or
I used to smile like lifting weights.
Yeah.
You'd be like, I can't do it anymore. It's like too much. But now it comes very easily. So, if you don't have your smile at this moment, just know that it's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming. What do you feel like? Let's hear some more. What do you feel like?
So this is the final poem that's in the journal, the Never Ending Now Poetry Journal. It's not on the album because I wanted to give people something extra when they get the journal. But I'll share it with your audience now. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you very much.
I don't need to know you to be proud of you. I'm proud of you for all you've done and all you do, because you're trying to become a better version of you, and I'm fucking proud of you. I hope this poem will empower you. I hope that you'll remember it the next time someone's doubting you. I hope that you'll remember it the next time them is you. And you're doubting yourself because you have nothing else to do. Pull the voice inside aside. You're on their side. Look them in the eyes and say, who are you to talk to you that way? You wouldn't let another person talk to you that way. So what makes you think just because it's you, it's okay? You'd probably never talk to another person that way. You'd either walk away or defend yourself if you stayed. But since you're the other person in this particular case and you can't leave yourself, you have to learn to hold space. So say, I'm proud of you, even if it feels like it's pretend. Try talking to yourself like you're your own best friend. Try talking to yourself like the relationship could end and the words you choose have consequence. Don't take yourself for granted just because you're always there. Celebrate yourself for always being there, always being here. Compliment the mirror. Let's be clear, self-help is self-care. Are you aware that your awareness and your ego are completely different things? Are you scared of the dichotomy constructing everything? Are you prepared to share the inner space without defining things? Are you attached to the illusion and the lullaby it sings? Are you distracted by the story, even if it isn't true? Because if you are, you're not alone. It happens to me too, and still I'm proud to be proud of you. Whew. Yeah, you. The infinite you, the non-specific you, the specifically terrific you, the universal you, the perfectly imperfect you. Look at you, you eternal you. You raced against at least 100 million sperm before becoming you and you and you. The one and only life will make. We have some nerve to walk around like we're some sort of mistake. We deserve to walk around like we're designed to take up space, like we're aligned from the core inside the earth to outer space. We are all miracles without a molecule to waste. You're a physical expression of fate, and I relate. You're a mystical expression of fate, and I relate. You're a musical, magical, beautiful, powerful individual. That's why I'm extra proud of you, even when you get cynical. Remember that when times are tough. Close your eyes and hear my voice. You're 1,000,000 times enough. Close your eyes and hear your voice until it's something you can trust. You're 1,000,000 times enough. 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 You are the sum of all of your experiences. You are the sum of none of your experiences. You're only you because you doubted you. You're alive, and I'm proud of you.
1,000,000 times enough. God, 1,000,000 times enough. Thank you, brother. God bless. Godspeed. Whew. Where can people find you? Where can people get the book? Where can they get the journal? All that good stuff.
You can go to my website, in-q.com, and you can get the journal from there. You can go to Passion Planner's website, which is who we are in partnership on this amazing piece of art that they helped to design. The Never Ending Now album is, on Spotify or Apple or YouTube or wherever albums are streaming. And I hope that you'll listen to the album. I hope you'll let me know if it resonates with you. I hope that you'll get the journal and create your own poems, and I hope that it will bring you more peace, more passion, more clarity, and be one of the things that can help to bring more joy. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, bro. Thank you. Really glad to have you on the show, man.
Thank you.
FIQ. The Seano Show is a production of iHeart Podcasts, hosted by me, Seano McFarlane. Produced by Pod People and 28th Ave. Our lead producer is Keith Kornelek. Our executive producer is Lindsay Hoffman. Marketing lead is Ashley Weaver. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.